Hi everybody! Today I will be presenting two articles, Love in the Time of Tamagotchi by Dominic Pettman and Tinder and the Dawn of the Dating Apocalypse by Nancy Jo Sales. I will first start with Love in the Time of Tamagotchi, which is an article that speaks to the cultural anxieties and curiosity which are emerging at the time when the most human of experiences, intimacy or love, is increasingly being mediated by the technologies which link one agent to another. And it's also about the author, mostly emphasizes on the massive contradiction that is occurring in the very heart of the human story about itself. So we as human beings, we only see love as between a human and another human. So for us, love only works for us, when in fact we can see that we love our pets, we love our cities, we even love the relationships we have with our gadget, like our electronic gadgets. And it is this exact contradiction that Dominic Pettman is emphasizing on, and it's about our desire for love and emotional contact versus the increase in kind of cold relationships we are starting to have with like virtual avatars or just our electronic devices. So throughout this article, Pettman studies a selection of artifacts, moments, and sites where this contradiction is becoming very obvious. So he first starts by explaining the dating sims, which are video simulation games that contain romantic elements. And these are games that mediate the human experience of love through electronic gaming devices. So the best example he actually talked about was Tokimeki Memorial, which is widely known as Tokimemo. And it was a famous dating sim that was released in 1994, which revolves around a male student and his attempt to get into the good books of the girls he likes. And after 3 years of trying, he ends up getting like a love letter from like one of the girls, and so it's mostly about like romantic storytelling in like the world of gaming devices. The second example he mentions was the Merutomos, which means male friends. So these Merutomos are recipients of text messages, sometimes even sex messages, and they are nodes in an anonymous network of friends of friends of friends, where the users are actually like almost relieved with the liberation they get from such intimate anonymity, and even the fact that they can juggle with several romantic interests at once, and also that they can actually escape the restrictive conditions of like an actual experience. The article also mentions like the serendipity system, which is a phone that beeps when it's like within 10 yards of a potential attractive date that you can actually like mate with. He also talks about dating websites or like matching, and he mostly talked about like eHarmony and Match.com. And eHarmony.com is a high-profile dating site that claims to match people according to 29 dimensions of compatibility, divided into core traits and vital attributes. He also talks about Thomas in Love, which is a movie that explores the notion of mediated desire, and where the protagonist is an agoraphobe who communicates with people in the outside world via video phone. So basically the film contrasts like the love Thomas finds with a real woman with the temporary sexual relief that he finds with a shape-shifting female avatar. He also mentions Idoru, which is like a book that depicts the engagement between a real-life rock star and a virtual pop star, and where the protagonist feels a sense of shame as he gets into the eyes of the hologram of the virtual pop star. The last example he gives is of Kari, which is a virtual character that can be configured as an online doll and who can act as a virtual girlfriend. And he also notes that as more virtual characters are being created, it is becoming less, ethically weird or almost taboo to engage in a virtual relationship. So Pettman finishes his article by stating that love and technology are terms which designate the same thing. So basically that love has actually become embedded in technology and that it has almost become impossible to separate the two. The second article presents a different perspective of the dating world mediated by the media, and it's Tinder and the dawn of the dating apocalypse, where according to Nancy Jo Sales, Tinder is an app that permits a fast access to easy hookups. And the innovation of the app is the swipe, where you can basically just swipe through profiles without them even knowing that you saw them. The only way they will know is if you approve of their profile. So Sales has interviewed many young people who have admitted to being addicted to the dating app because they said it offers them instant gratification as they feel validated that so many people are actually liking the pictures they post. And it also, Nancy also mentions how sex has become easy to obtain and how, even young people are no longer looking for committed relationships because it's just become so easy to just with a swipe or with liking a profile, you can get as many potential women or men that you want. So the article also mentions how Tinder has changed the dating game, as it is no longer about going over to a girl and trying to win her over with smooth talking or trying to get her to be interested, but it's now it's just you like a profile, you send a message. An interviewee even mentioned something about he only used emojis and he got a girl to actually sleep with him, and it's just becoming really easy nowadays in the hookup culture. So the article also mentions many themes. So it talked about women empowerment. How good is this for women? There were two sides in the debate. First, there was Hannah Rossen, who sees hookup culture as a boon. She thinks that it is fabulous for young women as it empowers them and it gives them a sense of freedom and a boost of confidence. But others also they see it as a pejorative thing, where they say that it has become rare for a woman of our generation to meet a man who treats her like a priority instead of an option. Also, dating apps give people the impression that there are thousands of potential mates out there, and this might also be the reason why men are less inclined to treat any women as a priority. An interviewee has even stated that sex has lost its emotional intimacy, which is destroying women's self-images. She says that when you complain about it, you can be stigmatized as weak, dependent, and also as someone who has missed the whole memo of the third wave feminism. And finally, the article touches base with gender inequality and how men are viewed how women are viewed in the hookup culture. Men are seen to be cool, and they're and the more women they get, the better. Whereas women are still getting judged over how many hookups they can get. And it's also how men, not always, but they almost always have the power to determine whether the relationship is going somewhere or not. And also how women are mostly viewed as sex objects instead of actual human beings with personalities. And finally, it talks about the dating app stigma and how it is absurd to consider starting a relationship with someone you meet on Tinder, and how it's still kind of weird to say that you have met your significant other on a dating app. And sometimes it's also used for casual hookups and occasional free meals, which some girls label as Tinder food stamps. So finally, these are my two questions. Both articles present different points of views. One where the author believes that stigmas surrounding virtual relationships are slowly shifting into a positive image, and one where, in contrast, the electronically facilitated hookup culture has a negative impact on romantic relationships. So which side do you agree with? And my second question is, Nancy Jo Sale mentions how women empowerment and the electronically dating scene are intertwined. Do you think the hookup culture is actually empowering to women, or is it in fact harmful to women and their self-image? Thank you.